I want to welcome everyone today. And I thought I would just start by um, there are three people on the stream today, and it's Annika and Cecilia and Liv. And the room looks like this. And start by finding a comfortable position. Close your eyes. And notice. Notice this moment. Leave all preconceived notions, all ideas, leave everything behind. And just look what this is, this moment. You don't have to try anything. Just be here. Just experience whatever comes up. Whatever it may be, thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, tingling, numbness, pain, a nice feeling, whatever. And even if the senses give you some kind of feeling that you have to grasp something or understand something, just see if you can leave that and just be with what is. And whatever comes, you just allow it. Whatever is perceived, just allow it into your field of consciousness. See to it that you're that everything is perceived through experiencing. And when you're observing like this, there's a very obvious silence. It's not really perceivable. It's just the background of everything. It's not a thing, but it gives life to all things. Everything originates from this silence and falls back into that silence. It's not different from the experience. The experience is happening in that silence. Even though the experience can seem loud and there can seem to be a lot of things happening, it all happens in this. When those loud thoughts or loud feelings subside, they fall back into this silence. All kinds of feelings can arise when you start to stay with the silence. There can be a little resistance. Most common is that you feel disoriented because the mind grasps. It comes back to the identity time and time again. And when you give it space, through space, it doesn't really know what to do with it because there is nothing to do. Most egoic minds are completely dependent on the idea of doing, of constantly playing with thought, constantly going on. And in that is a deep restlessness that is a part of the fragmented egoic mind. And it will not help to judge your mind. Just look. Just see what it is. Not with an idea that you have to fix it or become anything. You just come back to staying as the observer of the mind. You're breaking the old patterns, all the dependencies, all the attachments of the egoic mind, and just stay in this moment. It's not the goal of meditation to become perfect. It's only to accept this moment as it is. And accepting does not imply dissecting every thought and see if you can accept that or not. It just means let everything come and go. And if you notice that you're judging, then you notice the judging. You don't have to hold on to anything. Just stay. And if you get lost in thoughts, you notice that there is thinking. Notice that everything is observable. And the only way to notice everything is to become nothing. Because as soon as you are someone, you have an agenda, you're looking for something to happen, you want something out of your meditation, you're looking for some kind of perfection. And the question is always there to help you to break this bondage of the egoic mind. The question of to whom is this happening? Is only to find out that there is no one. That from the standpoint of being, there is no one. And in that field of nothing is the expression that seemed to be a body, personality, thinking, emotions, sensations of the body. But all this is in a constant flux, in a constant movement, in a dance that we call life. And when you start to like your meditation, it is because you for a while feel the relief of not being a person. For a while you get to rest as awareness, as this spaciousness that everything comes from and falls back into. You can open your eyes, move your body. When I first heard about the aspects of meditation, and especially the part about that you are not a thing, I didn't understand anything of it. I understood that it said something profound, but I had no idea what that really meant. How am I not a person? There is the experience of the body, my thoughts, my personality, the expression that I seem to live my life through. Is that not my life? And all of those things happen. However you look at it, they will still happen. But the attachment to them will be different. You know how things can be very, very different if you feel strongly attached to them or there is no attachment. All people have that experience with a friend or with something very close to them, to a thing perhaps that they really like. And then at a certain point, the thing or the friend or whatever it is different. And this just shows us that letting go at what we attach to is possible. But it seems very hard when we feel a strong connection with that, when we feel that that is a more important part of us or how we want to be perceived. Then it feels scary. Then it feels like I'm really losing something. And through our sense of division, we give into this fear. And we say that certain things cannot change, cannot be lost in our experience. That would be too painful, too much. But that is the nature of things. However much I loved my grandmother, when she died this February, I just felt that that is what is happening. And to resist, how can you resist the universe? And the beauty with the acceptance of that is that you are free. There might come emotions, there might come sorrow, but they're free to move. They're not bound by the idea that you should be this and this sad or this and this attached. It can just come when it comes, and then it's done. And instead of the dwelling on the missing of a person, you feel the gratitude that you have met, that your path has crossed. You feel all the love. And the gratitude for all those beautiful qualities of that person. But with the interconnected things, with your relation to the egoic mind, is usually one step more abstract, feels a little bit more subtle than the external world. But there is actually no difference. And the same patterns are usually expressed time and time again. This is why practicing meditation regularly is so beneficial. And you think that your meditation is not going very well because it feels like there's just the same things coming again and again, and you feel stuck in a way and all these things. And that is how the universe conspires with you to show you how you are stuck, what you're attached to, what karma is left. We're going to use karma in the proper way. That's why being alert is so important. And time again, go to the origins of each thought. See where it comes from. And that can seem like a different thing than to time and time again come back to the feeling of I. But they both spring from the same source. So you will always come back to the stillness inside you. And I get asked quite often, how do I let go? How do I detach? How do I stop attachment? And the answer is easy: be as you are. Be without becoming. Call it whatever you want. And notice when the seeds are planted. if your ideas come up time and time again, the idea can say, I'm not putting in enough effort. I started too late. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not experienced enough. All these seeds, it's going to take so much of my time, so many years, whatever the mind says. What do the mind know of these things? Nothing. It speculates as always. So what is left? To look. Be here. Because you all experience the mind and what it does. If you believe in it, it creates division. That's the rule of the egoic mind. It will say, this person did that. They are like this. Da, 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 da. It fragments the whole world. It gets obsessed with what it can accept and what it cannot accept. And it tries to fix all these things in the world, fixing other people, pushing their agenda and brutal thoughts. And the more you look, the more you will see that that is the state of the world. But it won't discourage you, because you will know that everything is also in its core peace. However violent a person can be, they're just looking to be happy and to feel whole. Even through their terrible acts, this is their deep longing, because it's the longing of all humans. And it's not that you will construct some philosophical idea that there is hope for the world or something else in time. You will notice that this moment carries such radiance, so much lightness. And the only thing that creates the heaviness and the fragmentation is the egoic mind. And if you just start to get a glimpse of that, your perspective changes. Or your belief is not as hard anymore. Because when the egoic mind is completely putting everything into a trance, that it is a certain way, I'm sure you also notice this. You're in an emotional state, and everything that you look at just enhances this emotional state. You feel miserable and you feel like a victim, and you feel like everything in the world shows you that. Everyone is a bit nasty and they're there to put you down, or whatever it is. This thick, thick trance of the egoic mind. And even a person who is in that, there will sometimes be a bright day. They might not want to accept that because there's so much independency of this egoic trance. But that is the strongest. We talk about addiction, but this is the strongest addiction there is, the addiction of the egoic mind. It leads to all external addiction. But when the trance is broken only for a moment, and I think also everyone here has experienced moments of deep clarity where you feel really present and really with this moment. But it seems fleeting, difficult to catch. And for some people, it feels a bit scary. And for some people, it feels like the greatest opening. And when you experience this in meditation, you have these moments of clarity and you have these moments of very deep peace. Then the hunt of the mind starts. It tries to catch it. It's a bit frustrated that it doesn't come in meditation. Next day it doesn't come. Next day it doesn't come. More and more frustration. And hopefully you give up. Hopefully you say, "Ah, this bullshit doesn't work. But let's sit anyway." And then it comes. Because it goes as soon as the person arrives. It's like a shape that is exactly like you, that's just blocking the light. And you see, why is there darkness? Because you're blocking the light. But you have to become that one. But you're so used to it. So you're becoming that one time and time again. There's nothing between you and and this moment but the idea of you. It sounds very obvious, but but many people think that there is something else that's at play here. There is something wrong with me, or there's something that has to be fixed or done or shifted, tweaked a little bit. A trauma that has to be caressed in the right way or something. And this shadow shape of yourself, when you start to investigate that, when you start to look at that, when you come back to that time and time again, which seems to be the rising of the sense of I, you notice that it's just a shadow. And that this sense of I belongs to the light. And what seems to be difficult is that you cannot really see. If you have a problem and there's some part missing, you're constructing something and you lack some nails. It's very simple. You get nails. But when you're with something and you don't know what is lacking, maybe you have a sense that it might also be that there is too much of something. That's just some vague intuitive sense. And it's easy to point specific things, a feeling or a thought or something external, perhaps, to be your obstacle. But the obstacle is always the idea of you. And it's never as you think. The idea how that is going to change, how we're going to see it, is just another idea. I was so surprised when it revealed itself to me in complete boredom. Boredom is a state that I think many people don't associate with the spiritual. A sense of boredom or like a sense of stubbornness, that something is immovable. At least I didn't. I didn't know that those things were very close to the quality of the self. Because to the egoic mind, they just feel like obstacles also. I'm just trying to be very concrete so that you can see what I mean. And there is no other way than to listen. Listen to the now. The words of a teacher is nice, but it's great to listen to the now, because that will reveal also the teacher in you, the intuitive sense that wants to know itself. You can look to others, but at some point you have to look at this. And there is like a spectrum of it. If you're too arrogant, you will just think that I can do everything. Everything is up to me. And you will worry a lot because everything will feel very heavy and very personal on your spiritual path. But on the other end of the spectrum is that you say, nothing is up to me. I just completely bow. but too far on that spectrum, and you don't really own anything. You can very easily become a victim. So when there is balance of that, but you have to notice that balance. You have to experience. And if you have a tendency to fall into victimhood or fall into arrogance, if you start to notice those, it becomes easy to see. And you notice that there is a path in the middle where the ego does not go either of those ways. There's trust, but there's also a sense that everything comes from me. And I was so surprised when Swami said things to me like, "What do you want?" Because it seemed so oriented in the egoic mind. What I want. But what he deeply asks is, you have to look from you, not to everything outside. You have to change your perspective. You have to trust your intuitive longing and see where it takes you. And it's so different what you need. All of you here today will need different things at different times. The same situation or the same words could help two people, but in completely opposite ways. Yeah. Because the people on the stream closer to your mouth.
Listening to your deep intuition and wanting of life. I think that's sort of my biggest fear and has always been that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, or that I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or let's say if I desire something or want to do something, but it can sort of like almost mentally stop me from doing it, because at the same time there's something else I want to do, and I just kind of get put in a limbo of not achieving anything, where it's like I feel the urge to achieve so much in life and experience so much that I cannot sense what's right for me, or what will make me feel, that I've achieved, not that I've achieved something, but that I've experienced the things that I'm supposed to experience to grow as much as possible.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes, the urge absolutely makes sense. I understand that completely.
Fear at the same time as it's an urge to
Of
do
course.
something and also to miss out on
Yeah,
something.
of course. Because if there would be no fear in this, you will just be content with this moment as it is. Fear is the driving factor in all that. The fear of missing out, the fear of not doing everything up to your full potential. And all these ideas can come from very, very that you grow up in a very loving environment and people encouraged you a lot, but it also can pose the idea that I have great potential. There is so much that has to happen in this life. And when you take it as you are responsible for this life, that is the idea that you have, that everything that is happening is on your will and on your, and in that there is a lot of tension. And there is also, um, even though it could seem harsh, but there's also a lot of arrogance in that. Because the heaviness of it is that you feel like everything is up to you, what you're describing. So also, if you would fail, it would be your fault. And you see all, and if you're not doing enough, that's on you, Valta.
Uh, I think I feel the fear to not feel the intuition of what's right or wrong to do in certain situations. And I think that's where the fear kicks in, that can sort of paralyze me in decision making. I'm not sure if that was a statement or question, but
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. I think that so many people feel what you just described, that they feel like they don't have any direction and they don't know what they should do with their life, and they feel like the possibilities are so many. And I think especially in our society today, we can get so much information about so many things. So you just see that, wow, the possibilities are, they are endless. I just have to find out what I really want. But actually, your life will just happen as it happens. And if you can find peace with that, that is of great benefit. Because otherwise you will experience the burden of feeling in control and feeling that everything is up to you until you cannot take it anymore. So it's automatically gonna happen. But the awareness of it, that we are bringing it up like this, is very good. It maybe doesn't change much at first, but the seed is there for the possibility to accept. And usually most people don't change until they hit a wall. They found the way that their life is unfolding and the ways they're doing things to be fine until they're not. And then you have to change. And it's much rarer with people who just go into just looking, and they're not waiting for the walls. They just want to know. Most people need to be hitting walls a couple of times. They have to burn out. They have to um, have failed marriages. They have to, all these things. But the beauty of that is also that um, that you can start to feel gratitude for failing. And all those beautiful failures always have something with them. They either stop something that you prior to that dreamed about. When I was young, I dreamt about being a singer in a band. I thought that was the coolest thing. And when I was around my 30s, 32, 31, 32, something like that, I started a band. I had many bands before, but I started a band with a friend, and it took off a little bit. We got a tour in China and Brazil, and we got some press in Sweden. And I realized when we were doing this that this doesn't suit me at all. But I said to my friend in the band, I'm living someone else's dream. And it was so good for me because from that point, I never dreamt of being a singer in a band again. It was gone. And there's a beauty in that, and there's a freedom in that. And I jokingly sometimes say, may your dreams be crushed. But these are the kind of things that I mean. And those kind of things are also in my life what also brought me much more to investigating this moment. And things doesn't change as you think that they will. When that was lost, I had still the love for music and making music with my friends. So sometimes I still do, but it's very playful and it's very, there is no heaviness, there is no goal with it, there's no nothing, there's only how can we investigate this now? And you never know what happens in your life. And what people around you might say about your life is also not the experience of your life. They might hype something that, wow, you're really doing that. Wow, that's great. And you get so much attention from that, but it means nothing to you. It doesn't change anything. But you have no idea how it will happen. So then one component becomes very important. And that is that you have to bow, that you have to have faith. Okay, let's see what happens. And that kind of, it cannot really be faked. I'm sorry, but it cannot. Maybe you wish that you had more faith, but there has to be some kind of breaking point where it really shows you the purpose of faith. And usually it's a wall. It's usually that you're pushing yourself too hard, staying too much in control. So you get so tired of your egoic mind and this idea of always pushing, pushing, pushing. that you might let go. Or you feel there is no other way forward from this. I have no choice. I have hit the wall. And the sadhana is beautiful, that your practice, your meditation practice is beautiful like that. Because if you have that mindset, your meditation will show you all the difficulties of that. I know that I told this story many times, but I think it's a good one. That if you feel very disciplined and you just work hard and you really do your meditation and it feels like you're walking in the desert without water, but you don't understand what the water is. At first, you don't know what is lacking. There is something lacking. I'm walking in the desert, the heat is on, something is lacking. And then, if you're lucky, someone tells you it's water that you're lacking. But you have always said, I don't like water. I like sodas. I don't want to drink that bland shit. And then Raya Krishna might come and say, but that is just lack of faith, like he said to me. And you understand what the water is.
Yeah, talking about having control and working hard. I think about, for example, practicing on an instrument which is needed to be able to perform.
Mm.
Can that be done without the little I?
Yes, of course. But I want to say that when it comes to um, doing things without effort, in the relative world, there can seem to be a lot of effort in the outer expression. You can seem to be working really, really hard. But if there is no inner, if there is no one there who feels like a victim for working very, very hard, hard work can just happen. So we have to understand the difference between the relative and the absolute in this. Because the relative just happens. And it's no problem being challenged or doing something really tough. It can even be quite nice in just its expression. But the idea that you suffer your instrument practice for a larger goal or like all these kind of very identified, then it's going to be heavy. Then it feels like, yes, I'm sacrificing all this time and all these other social interactions. My friends want to go out and drink beers with me, but I'm just here in my room practicing, and you feel very sorry for yourself in that comparison. Then you will of course suffer that. But if you just feel love for the expression of it and you understand the and your goal with your playing is also to be in tune with what is and the expression of the instrument and see how it plays through you. I think that everyone who has improvised have had those moments where it just feels like there is no me, it's just notes happening. So improvised music is beautiful in that way. But also in the rehearsed music space, there can be the same, because the the letting go of just falling into a classical piece and it just getting played is also that same beauty, that very natural relaxation.
Another angle to it. Very often people don't feel like practicing, but And they postpone it. But as soon as they do it, they feel great gratefulness. And
Yes. But many things are like that. Because if you're just going for what is pleasurable, the ego would love that for a while. But the other part of that is that your mind will say, if you go to pleasure all the time, it will very quickly go to also that you're worthless and that you're just doing things, just eating junk and and watching crap movies all day, whatever it is. Because the doing difficult things is very good for challenging the egoic mind, because the egoic mind never wants to step into a cold shower, even if it's good for you. It never wants to do a longer meditation sitting on the weekend, even though there is a longing for it. That strange dual feeling of that. Oh, I really want to do this. You should, maybe you could postpone it to next weekend, or whatever the mind says. And always these challenges are very rewarding, because they take you to the present moment, because they take you out of what the egoic mind wants. That's why many people get completely obsessed with these disciplined workouts, or if they do it long enough, in the beginning there is resistance, but if they do it long enough, the mind starts to subside in it. And all people that I have seen that talk about those things of really challenging themselves very deeply, they always talk about presence, but they might use different terms, but they will talk about. I saw for example, a short clip with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he talks about doing reps on like in working out, and he says, how can you listen to music? You just want to be in your workout, in every contraction, because the thing that he likes about it is the presence. And when you're just feel like your workout is something that you have to do to have a nice body, then you just listen to music and distract yourself. But for him, it was his art. It was really the essence. So then it becomes very spiritual, all these things that you do. And many people also know people that run marathons that are completely obsessed by that, because they push the limit so much that the mind, it drops after a while. But you don't need anything external. You can just sit with yourself. And if this is your sadhana in your life, then you will automatically like the things that make you present. And the more you get wind of it, the more you start to notice it, the more you will be interested in, oh, there's a little fear around this. I want to do that. These kind of things, instead of avoidance in fear, there will come confrontation in fear. You will start to notice everything that makes you present. And you also will have less interest in things that takes you away from it.
But can we really divide things in things that takes me away from presence and brings me closer?
You will notice those things. And
I mean, eating candy also can bring you presence.
sorry,
If I eat candy, I can also come closer.
Yes, of course. It's not like though. It has to be, when I say those things, I mean mentally. You have to be there, not what you physically do. You can smoke cigarettes, you can eat candy, and be super present in that. It doesn't have to with specific external things like that. But you will not be interested in certain kinds of attitudes, certain kinds of thinking. You will notice leads you to more thinking. You will not be interested so much in things that creates more karma. That creates more action or demands more actions of you. Do you understand that? No. Good.
Actions and thinking is not doesn't have to be bad. If I am a scientist, I might love to think. It could
Yes.
be in a good way, can't it?
Yes, but it's not the problem is not in thinking. The problem is always in identification. You can think quite a lot. You can have a very thought-heavy job, like a scientist or someone whose job is mathematics. They have to think a lot. But if you identify with your thoughts and how good you do your job, or who are you in there, that is always the question here. And that is what creates karma. That is what creates more actions, is that you feel that it has something to do with you, and now you have to ... You have to do something else. So that's why certain things can just continue and continue, because you feel that you personally have to deal with this now, and now it's hanging over you, and that is karma. But you can do very intricate things with your mind and have no identification with it, of course. And actions, yes. But your actions will be reflected by this, because you will feel like you have to do certain things if it has created karma. Then you will feel, oh, now I have to deal with this, now I have to do that. It just, and some actions just continue and continue and continue, because you just add karma to it. There's never a, yes. But this is the most common behavior of most people, that karma is created, and that they have to deal with their mind, and then they have to deal with that. Because all beliefs are like that. Beliefs, all beliefs are like that. That they create a lot of karma. And someone asked Papaji once, is there something because he was talking so much that you shouldn't believe. And someone asked, but is it something worth believing in? And he said, yes, the truth. But the challenge there is that most people don't know what that is. But it helps to hear about these things, and also to contemplate. No, don't be afraid of that. Sometimes I come in context where people seem to be anti-thought because they're into Vedanta or non-dual teachings in some way. But it's not to be anti-thought. I think contemplation is great on certain things. Is my life making me happy? What is the purpose of everything? Am I looking at the right things in life? What is spirituality to me? And also the question that Swami asked me, what do I want? How do I want my practice to be? What is the longing? Do you dare to ask the question, what is the longing of your heart? Without all this. Because it can also be that you're afraid of that. Because maybe it will tell you something that the egoic mind completely won't like. And we will feel like oh no, we're going to start a battle here. It feels scary. We're afraid.
How can we judge if we have a lot of karma or not? And if we are increasing it or decreasing it?
if your intention is to know yourself, that is the most important. Because you will not see, and also to take in account that you don't see your own behavior, that you don't understand it. You don't understand that you create karma, because then you wouldn't. So also be okay with the ignorance. And that there is no point in judging that. Do you understand? Because who is that for? Who wants that knowledge? Who wants to understand? Who wants, yes, you understand? So if your intention is to know yourself, that is the most important. Earnestness, or whatever you want to call it. Be authentic. Because exactly what will happen and how things will happen and how you will understand yourself, that is to the universe to unfold. And the more you can relax into that, the easier it becomes. But it's also okay to be tense, to be stressed out, to be on the verge of burnt out, whatever you may feel. Because there is not, it doesn't have any, it doesn't demand anything from you. Not in that sense. How okay can you be with being confused? How okay can you be with the not knowing? Because that is the state. If that is the state, then be with that. So the practice itself is just to be comfortable in your own skin. Just to be okay with what is. Is there any more questions? No. No?
I have a question.
Yes. Very good.
About what is challenging. Just to clarify. Because what can be challenging for many, for example, can be to run a marathon, or to practice the clarinet, or to diligently get up and do all the asanas in the morning. But to me, for example, I have lived a life with a lot of pushing myself to do stuff, and to, like we talked about before, like Walter mentioned, achieving, accomplishing, with very high standards, etc., etc. So for me, what has helped me is to be challenged to be present, to do nothing, to do stuff that are meaningless, to the mind meaningless, to just sit and do nothing, to take a slow day doing nothing. Those things have helped me, because running a marathon to me is not interesting at all anymore, although I used to run all the time. So I just wanted to clarify that it doesn't have to do with challenging for everybody, but it can be individual. It can be the opposite.
I think actually for many people, to do nothing is one of the most challenging things they can do. There are so many people, when they ask me about a retreat or meditation, that they say, I could never do that. They can't see themselves because they would find it so challenging. And I think there is a lot of misunderstandings around this. I also had comments about I did very diligent morning meditation for a long, long time. And someone close to me said, yes, he goes up and like is another hour of half asleep. And then he goes for breakfast. And my mother said, I don't know. I don't think that you know what he's doing, because doing nothing is very different from sleeping or being active or distracting yourself. But thank you, Cecilia, for that. One more. Which one do you want? Hey, Govinda. Hey, Govinda. Hey, Gopala. Hey, Govinda. Hey, Gopala. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey, Nityananda. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey, Nityananda. Shri Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, 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 Shama. Shri Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Radhe, 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 Shama. Hey, hey, Govinda. Hey, hey, Gopala. Hey, hey, Govinda. Hey, hey, Gopala. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey, Nityananda. Hey, Vasudeva. Hey, Nityananda. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. When we talk about the difficulty of doing nothing, and how it correlates with the gunas. Have you heard about the gunas? Perhaps? No? No. It's a long time since I talked about the gunas last. I think they're best explained through the 1999 movie The Matrix. Because I've seen many takes on what the movie The Matrix. I think most of you have seen it or know it, what it's about. Yes? No? It's about that there is that the world that we live in is fake. And the main character is presented with two choices. And one that he stays in the dream, and the other one is that he wakes up. And in the movie, it's like a dystopian future, the real world, and the dream is like looks like our ordinary life. But how this movie is interpreted by different people tells us about the different gunas. There are three gunas, and it's tamas, raja, and sattva. the tamastic energy is very, I jokingly sometimes said it smokes weed and plays video games. It likes to take the easy path, and if something is difficult, you're instantly a victim of it. And in the matrix, that would be to interpret that we're all in this, it's all conspiring against us. They have fooled us, and we're in this. That is very much the tamastic quality of this, that we're stuck in some way and there is no way out, so we're a victim of it. And then there is the rajastic way, and the Raja person is the doer. This is very much the ideal of our society, is the rajastic qualities. It's to be ambitious and to do a lot of things and to show that you have power, all these kind of things, like a little bit of warrior mentality. And the quality that comes from the feeling of I am doing is very much a rajastic quality. And the ones that have that quality, they interpret the matrix as, yes, it is sort of a conspiracy against us, but if you work hard, you can break out of this mold. You just have to work. And then there is the last category, and that is the sattvic quality, and that is the one who is mainly interested in being, in spirituality. And from the rajastic point of view at first, they will seem the same as the tamastic. They're not doing anything, the rajastic person will say. But it's a very different doing from the smoking weed, playing video game non-doing. So and after a while, the ones with rajastic quality always starts to look up at the sattvic quality. They start to be interested in knowing themselves, and because in doing a lot of things, they get a lot of dreams crushed, and they hit a lot of walls. So they naturally will have a tendency towards the sattvic, which you also see in people who are very rajastic. After a while, they always go to be more sattvic. And the sattvic person interprets the matrix as, yes, it is all an illusion. We're already free. There is nothing to do with it. And the beauty of the Indian culture is that they hold sattvic qualities very high. And here we mainly hold rajastic qualities very high. But they always lean towards the sattvic because that is the natural. And the tamastic person usually looks up to the rajastic person, to the doer, to the next. So they seem to be like in a chain like that. So that is my take on the matrix. Yes.
But I also find that those qualities can change like very quick.
Yes,
In my
yes, and it's much more complex that you're just locked into one. If you're a very extreme person, you can be very locked into one. But usually people fluctuate. They can have a period of like of more going into their tamastic qualities, and then they're in the rajastic, and they move between them a little bit. But usually the movement is like that, from tamas to rajas to sattva. But yes, that's a very good clarification. That is not that black and white. And no explanation of anything is like that. It is as it is. It's not the explanation of things. It's just a thing to be able to talk about things that are usually difficult to talk about.
And some like self-realized or like highly meditative people or whatever you want to say, but can seem more rajasic, right? like they can seem very active.
Yes, but activity has actually not so much to do with it. It is what is behind that activity. And as we talked about before, there can be a lot of effort in something, but inside there's no effort. And usually people, when that happens, they also aligns usually with what is very natural to them, and they feel very. When you feel that you're doing what you're supposed to do, you always have that feeling. However difficult it is, however hard you have to work, how much you're sweating or bleeding or crying doing it, you're still, yes, but this is what should happen. There is a beautiful scene in a movie that I really like. It's from I think it's from 1970. It's called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. You know about this? It's about the life of Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Francis of Assisi is a very famous monk who lived in the 1200s, I think, 1100s, somewhere around that. There is a scene in this movie where they say that he has he's mad. His family says that he's gone completely mad. He just walks around in rags and he builds a monastery. And his friend is coming there to look. Ooh, I start to cry from that. His friend Bernard is coming to see Francis and to see if he's all right. And it's snowing, and he's walking around there in his rags, barefoot, and he's building this monastery. And it's the only people who are there with him are like the cripples and the crazy people in town. All those people are there with him, helping him. And you can, it's such a good scene when he comes, because he has this worry of a friend. Everyone's worried about you. Are you okay, Francis? And he's just completely in bliss. So beautiful. And walking there barefoot in the snow, building this. And it's probably very painful and very hard work, but it just shows this. It has nothing. For him, it's nothing. You can see in his eyes that it's nothing. It's very beautifully made, this movie.
But could you then say that in the Rajasic energy, there is almost always some identification with the activity or the doing?
Yes.
And in the Sattvic activity, there is nothing is left undone by no one is doing it. So.
Yes, that starts to be the absolute main focus in all Sattvic qualities. That you're not very interested in the doing itself. You're interested in understand who is the doer. And in the Rajasic quality, the focus is on the doing and the results of the doing very much. All those qualities that come with ambition and why you have that drive.
So it can look exactly the same on the outside.
Yes.
Like with Gandhi or someone, or Nelson Mandela, but on the inside.
Yes, it can be very sattvic, but they can seem to be doing a lot of things. And your actions and what have to be done in your life can depend on so many things. Maybe you have 5 children, or you're just coming into a place in society where there is a lot of demands on your time in that way, but you can still be very, very sattvic about it. And some of those, that's why I'm saying also that usually when there is a lot of this sattvic longing, then your behavior will change, because you will not do things from the same place. It will not be so interesting to build and build and build. It will be much more interesting to see what is. Yes, but with all these definitions, always be careful because they're just a way of explaining things to make things clearer, not to put things in categories of, oh no, I'm too tamastic, I should be more something else, or too rajastic. Why am I not that is absolutely not what it's for. Okay, very good.